Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Tea Talk Show. I'm your host, T, and I'm so excited that you joined me today. It has been over 2 years since the last episode of the Tea Talk Show. So, we definitely have to get into why I went missing. And today's episode, of course, is named Allow Me to Introduce Myself. So you can find out all the juicy details and where I'm at right now with my life. So if you are I'm gonna say very new. If you've never heard the Tea Talk Show before, welcome, and thank you for choosing to tune in today. Now, if you were rocking with me a couple of years ago and you were like, "Where is T? Where did she go?" Hey, y'all, I'm so glad I'm back. Did you miss me? Because I missed you. So, we're going to get into the nitty gritty today. I don't know if people still say that, but I'm going to say that the nitty gritty today. Now, just a reminder of what the Tea Talk Show is all about. The Tea Talk Show is all about having real and raw conversations on life, love, family, and faith, where Jesus is the tea. Jesus is the tea. Again, allow me to reintroduce myself. So I started the Tea Talk Show back in December, the very end of 2021. And the Lord had led me to that. And, years and years ago, I was like, man, I want to have a talk show. And I actually did an interview that I found not too long ago. And that was also a confirmation to get back started, get back on it. And first off, I love people, so having raw conversations, I believe, is so needed, especially in the times that we are living in. And even as believers, we need to have the real and raw conversations, the conversations that we tend to shy away from, or we feel embarrassed, or we may be judged. Like, no, this is what this is all about. This is your safe space. Speaking of safe space, I am a licensed mental health counselor. So that's what I do. And I love what I do. I love connecting with people. I love watching people go from pain to purpose. I love watching the healing process. It's an amazing time. I love being on that journey with people. So even a couple years ago, I was working as a licensed mental health counselor, and I started having some issues with my health. 2022 was, man, it was a year. It definitely was a year. And I want to say back in March, I really started noticing things with my health, just not being able to push through like usual, just so tired and just exhausted and just not feeling well. And it was tough. It was tough. And I had to come to terms with, girl, something is wrong. I remember going and getting Starbucks coffee, and that was not helping me stay awake. Like, I literally would have to close my office door and just put my head down in between sessions. And so going to the doctor, I did find out, some of what was going on. And it was a hit. And I just didn't know what to do. Honestly, I didn't know what to do. I was starting to feel burnt out. And I got involved with someone. That's another episode is on. I'm just giving you a rundown. Today, let me just focus. Let me give you the rundown, because that could go far left. Right now, we can go down a whole rabbit hole with that situation. But it was so much. So I got involved with someone, and mind you, I had not been with anyone or even engaged or even entertained anyone in almost 5 years. 5 years. It was almost 5 years, so like 4.5, to be exact. I became a minister, a licensed minister at that time as well. And I ended up cutting off this relationship, or it got cut off, mutual, whatever you want to call it. You know what? Let's not call it. The Lord ended it. And it was tough. I was really, really, really going through it. So now I have this situation going on, entertaining someone that I shouldn't have. The health, I'm feeling burned out with work. I'm just all over the place. And it was tough. And in the midst of those times, I'm getting asked to speak at certain events. And I'm just like, Lord, I'm talking about mental health to these people, but they have no idea what I'm going through right now and what it takes just to even be sitting here today. But I pushed through. I knew it was for a purpose, and I'm all about mental health awareness, and sharing and spreading it. And I believe in Jesus and therapy, so I know those moments were definitely needed. So fast forward, health is still not the best. I'm not feeling it, with work. And the Lord tells me to dream again. So I did what he said. And that meant that Tomasa needed to go back to school to get her doctorate. So now I am a licensed mental health counselor. So technically you would think, okay, let's go somewhere in that route, right? Somewhere in that field. But God took me a whole different route, and I'm studying strategic leadership. So it has been 2 years now in this program, and I'm so happy because listen, going back to school can be ghetto. Having to study, I'm like, Lord, having to stay up all night. I'm like, God, this is so childish. Like, what is this? But man, it has been an amazing journey, despite how challenging it's been, juggling life and kids and family and work and in school and ministry. It's been a lot, but I would not change a thing. I could not see myself in any other program but this program. So that's where we're at. Shout out to Pastor Tiffany Brown, my pastor, who one day I was getting some healing, deliverance, and prayer. And as soon as I got up, y'all know how you could be just snot in it and on the floor because you just got knocked out. Well, I got up, and the beautiful Pastor Tiff is right behind me. I was like, oh, whoa. Hi, in my head. And she was like, her sweet smile. Hey, have you ever thought of furthering your education? And I was like, yay. And I was like, okay, yeah. And did the nod. And I'm like, Lord, at that time I was like, Lord, there's no way. And this was even a couple years before I even started school. And I had gotten so settled into, you know what, I don't need to go back to school. I had always wanted to earn my doctorate, but I just kind of put it to the side. I'm like, man, do I really need it? I pretty much talked myself out of it. It's going to be time consuming. Is it really necessary for what I do? But I did it. So I went back to school. And the way that happens, I feel like I need to make an episode of each one of these things. But like I said, this is just the overview. But I got in the program, and it was crazy because I'm like, God, out of all seasons, you want me to go back to school this season where I'm trying to move forward from, the situation, the situationship, I'm trying to move forward my health. I'm not feeling well. I'm still working on that. I'm struggling mentally. I'm just not feeling there. And you want me to go back to school? Wow. And so I did. And it's been life-changing. It's really shown me how strong that I really am. And that I'm capable. And it's definitely built my confidence and my trust in God, because I'm telling you now, the Lord dispatched a specific angel 2 years ago, and I still have that same angel writing my papers, because there are times where I'm like, how in the world am I still in this program? And I know it's all because of God and that angel. So here I am. I go back to school that August, and I feel better about that situationship. It's been months now, and here we are. I meet somebody else, and it was a friend. They were a really good friend, and the friend turned into, oof, Lord, I like them. They like me, and that's a whole nother story too. But I'm giving you the rundown. And over time, I realized, because that situation happened right when I started school. So I realized, I'm like, wait a minute, this was a distraction too. Yes, it was a learning experience as well, but I felt a lot with what happened and how it happened. The enemy was really trying to distract me, because I stepped out on faith going to school, and I want to say a few days later that popped up. So it definitely was a distraction. And so, I'm going through school, I'm doing pretty well. And then come December, I know I needed to leave my job, and the Lord had told me to leave. And health was still health, and I was not doing the best, and even just mentally too, just depressed, super depressed. And the Lord told me to leave my job, and I didn't want to leave. I wanted to because I was becoming really burnt out, but then I didn't because I'm like, Lord, this is December. I have two children. Christmas is coming up as well. Like, do I really leave my job? And not because it was horrible. I had like the best supervisor, an amazing team of clinicians that I worked with. So it wasn't even like that, but it was just time to go. Like the grace had lifted. And I know the Lord wanted me to focus on school as well and really take care of my health, take care of it. Because I was doing it, but not really. The self-care was just out the window for me at that time. So I remember the day, turned in my resignation, and literally 4 days after I did, I'm going home. I'm at the light and I get in a car accident. I get hit from behind. And so here we are, situationship number 2, in a car accident. I'm thinking I'm fine. And then I realized later that evening, I am not okay. My body was in so much pain. I cramped up. It was horrible. So going through that, and it's so crazy. That same day, I ended up getting another position that was working from home. Someone gave it to me, literally. Again, that's a whole different story. But now I'm going to physical therapy. I'm with a chiropractor. I'm going through it. I'm ending this situationship now. My back is hurting. My body is hurting. I'm sad. I'm depressed. The anxiety, health, just a lot. It was a lot. And I remember just crying out to God daily, like, Lord, please help me. What is happening? God, forgive me. Like, what did I do? Like, get me out of this. And God was there. God was there all the time. And it definitely was a time. It was a time of sadness, but it was a time of growth too, because I had to take the time to really evaluate myself, and think about, why did I get involved with something else? What did I do? Okay, and not just with the relationship part, but even just like, okay, God, what is my purpose? Now you have me working with kids, and I said, oh, I was kind of saying like I wouldn't work with kids again. I just like working with women. That's my passion. God had other plans, and it was for a reason why He had me work with kids that season. They brought joy. They were so just happy, and even when they weren't, it was fun to bring that to them, as well. And God was taking me to a place of reminding me of how important childlike faith is. And so there was so much healing in that. And then He took me through that, and I started doing charcuterie. It was part of my healing journey too. So God really was doing a work. So that was 2023. Going from 2022 to 2023, I started doing charcuterie, just really taking a place of healing and focusing on me. And it was amazing. And my son graduated from high school. He graduated with his AA, and my daughter, she didn't graduate yet. Let me not fast forward. My daughter's in school, and they're doing amazing. And but I still was going through it, and my children were watching mommy just not be in a good place. Mommy just like feeling sick all the time, and just laying around and not having the energy like I used to. And I remember one day my daughter said, I want my real mommy back. And it broke my heart, because I'm like, in my head, I didn't tell her, but I was like, me too, me too. And so, moving forward, so many things have happened. That was just the gist of things. Health has been the common denominator. Working through my own mental health, my own physical health, and self-care. It's been quite a journey. It's been quite a journey. But can I just say that God is so good? God is so good. And, for me getting back on here, I know I was supposed to be back on here a long, 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 long time ago. But fear crept in, perfectionism, just questioning. But I was just get like prophetic words about this. And even a couple of years ago or more now, it's been more now, I got prophetic word about a program. And then this year particularly, my Bishop Joel Brown of FCC Lakeland, shout out to him, during a Wednesday night service, God was speaking to him, and he told me that God was saying, revive the podcast. And I knew it, and I just kind of smiled. And I was like, okay. And I had every intention to do it, but I just didn't. And then, I created a whole flyer and everything. I had that done and just didn't. It was like, man, I just really questioned, like, can I really do this? Like, do I have the time? You think about, are people going to listen to me? You think about all these things. And a big part for me, something that I've had to work through is perfectionism, and understanding that things don't have to be perfect. God is just asking, when God says go, you go, right? And the thing is, if God gives you something, right, if he tells you to do something, he's going to walk you through it. He's going to give you the strategies and the downloads on how to handle it. But a big reason, a part of it was I just wasn't stepping out. I was afraid. It's like I've been afraid. And even today, I'm going to be honest with you, this is me coming back even on YouTube. And I don't know how long it took me to get myself together. Okay. My hair was down, guys. I was like, Lord, this piece is out of place, that piece, trying to record. I just kept having to start over. I'm trying to, am I looking in the camera? I'm not the camera, but am I looking in the right spot? I'm on my laptop. I'm like, Lord, I don't have a fancy camera right now. Like everybody else, I'm looking at my laptop. Okay, I'm looking over here. So you know what? If you see me looking off crazy on this, you know what? At this point, so be it. I have to be obedient. Obedience is better than sacrifice. So my hair is not down. Okay. I tried. I felt like I looked crazy. It's pulled back in a ponytail. It's not the way I wanted it. The way things are right now, if it's lighting or this or that, it's not. But it's, what does God require of me? Who needs to hear this? Whose breakthrough am I holding back by not doing what God has called me to do? And a lot of times we're just waiting on God, but God is just waiting on us. So I had to step out of the boat, just like Peter did, right? I had to step out of the boat and just say, you know what, God, I trust you. I trust you. I trust you're going to work everything out. I trust that this is going to get better and better. I trust you. The Bible tells us not to lean unto our own understanding. And for me, my own understanding would be, Lord, I'm 2 years in, I'm going into my third year. And in this doctoral program, I have clients, I have kids, I have ministry. How can I do this? But then again, I can't lean onto my own understanding, just like you can't lean onto your own understanding. And it also says, in all thy ways acknowledge him, and he will direct our paths. So in this season, and I'm sure many of you too, I'm going to tell you right now, we have to allow God to direct our paths. Because when we try to do it, it's not going to work, right? It's not going to work, excuse me. And so, I want all the nice things. I want all the nice equipment. I want a whole cool studio one day. But can God trust me with this right now, this startup? Can God trust you where you're at right now with what you have, so that he can trust you with more? So I want to encourage you, step out the boat, just do it. My mentor and spiritual mom, all of the above, Pastor Ansela, told me one day, she said, how did she put it? She said, Perfectionism is procrastination's cousin. So when we try to make everything perfect, a lot of times it doesn't happen. We don't end up doing anything. So that's how procrastination and perfectionism become cousins, because we never do anything. But I want to encourage you today. What is one thing that God has told you to do that you have not done? One thing. Go back to the beginning. What's one thing that He's told you to do and you haven't done it? Is it because of fear? Is it because of perfectionism? Is it because of procrastination? Is it from a place of the enemy attacking you, just stagnation? Like, what is it? What's that one thing? And I challenge you to step out on faith. Do like Peter did. Peter was, let me just give you the breakdown of Peter. Now this is not your King James version of the Bible, right? But, the disciples and Jesus were in the boat, right? And so, Jesus is out there just walking on water, doing what he does, the way he does it. And Peter, wanted to do it as well. So he stepped out too. He asked God, he asked Jesus, and he stepped out too. And so he's walking on water with Jesus. Like, who else has done that? And so here comes the wind, and he gets distracted and he starts to sink. He starts to drown. But God is so good. And he lifts Peter up. So what happened was, as soon as Peter took his eyes off Jesus, as soon as he allowed distraction to take over, he started to drown. So I challenge you to have your Peter moment, to step out, to do something crazy, right? Step out and do something, man, that it has to be God to carry you through. I'm not talking about stepping out and doing something that you can handle on your own. It needs to be bigger than you. Walking on water was bigger for Peter. He could not have done that on his own. Step out. And when you step out, unlike Peter, don't get distracted by the wind. Don't get distracted by the naysayers. Don't get distracted because you feel like everything's not perfect. Don't get distracted because, you think, or you start comparing. That's another thing. You start comparing. Don't get distracted. Don't get distracted by anything that may come your way. Keep your eyes on Jesus so that you stay on the water. So that is all I have for you today. Whew. Come on, God. That is all. But again, think about it. What is it that God has told me to do that I have not done yet? Go way back. Go way back. What is it that God has told me to do that I have not done? All right. So, come on. This was just a brief overview for today. But I thank you so much for tuning in, for even watching now. Please definitely come back, stay in touch. Check me out on Facebook at TomasaV and Instagram, TomasaV. Keep in touch with me. If you have any ideas of what you would like to hear on the Tea Talk Show, any topics, please message me, and I look forward to meeting with you soon.